Rhetoric is an ancient form of persuasion that originated or was discussed way back in ancient Greek times by people like Aristotle and Plato. It's the art and study of persuasion. Today, I'm going to just quickly go through these slides so that you have a sense of what you're doing. You're going to have to read through the slide deck, watch the videos, look at the speaker's notes in order to fully appreciate what these slides are all about. But for now, I'm just going to quickly go through them. So, rhetoric is what we're talking about. And basically, rhetoric is the use of language to persuade. Now, in the next couple of slides, I'm going to ask you to listen to Shane Koyczyn present one of his poems. Shane Koyczyn is a Canadian poet who has performed all over the world. In this particular poem, he is using his own personal experience and anecdotes in order to convince us of his perspective. So I want you to consciously think about how you feel and what you think while you're listening to Shane Koyczyn. There are two different versions of this video embedded here. One is the TED Talk version, another is an animated version. They're both really good. Have a look and see what you think. I want you to think about which one you are more persuaded by, and I want you to think about the message that you walk away with after listening to Shane Koyczyn's poem, and kind of keep that in the back of your mind as you're reading through the rest of the slide deck. Now, when we as an audience, especially in the 21st century, are bombarded with messages, we always want to be thinking about how language is being deliberately used in order to persuade us. So we're thinking about how language is being used on us as audiences. And we also want to think about how we ourselves can use language in order to convince others of our purpose or our message. So essentially, again, rhetoric is the art of persuasion. It's the deliberate use of language in order to convince or persuade. Now, whenever we are using rhetoric, what we're trying to do is appeal to our audiences. An appeal is to make a serious or urgent request. Now, in many cases, the author is trying to sell us their idea or sell us their product. So I want you to think about what kinds of appeal you are most familiar with. Now, the ancient Greeks basically had three forms of appeal that were consistently used in order to persuade. These are known as ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos always involves the author appealing to our values and beliefs so that we trust the author. So in this case, I want you to have a look at a Nike commercial. Tiger Woods, who is obviously a Nike spokesperson, is an expert golfer. He is an authority in his field. He is being taxed with selling us golf products. As you watch the ad, it's going to be clear that Tiger Woods knows golf. He is an expert in this field. We as an audience trust him to know what he's talking about. Oftentimes, professionals or experts are used in order to sell us something. We as an audience value their expertise, and therefore we are convinced. Pathos is the second form of appeal that authors often use in order to convince their audience. Pathos always relies on us feeling something. So an author is appealing to our emotions in order to convince us. So for example, when you watch the Pampers ad, we see small babies and their families with loved ones, and we start to feel things like sentimentality, love, tenderness, and nostalgia. These are powerful emotions that then convince us to do something. Oftentimes, authors will also use fear or sadness in order to appeal to us. And then finally, logos is an appeal to our logical minds, our rational minds. So in this particular ad, we see facts and figures, stats, and the author or the creator of the ad is obviously appealing to our logical or rational minds. It's really important to think about whether statistics or figures or evidence is being used correctly, appropriately in order to support the author's perspective.